the bad creative, the bad creative, yeah. PhD people
We can do this.
decide to do something that involves sitting very still. Hello and welcome to the Bad Creatives podcast show. I'm Alexa Van and this is Sam.
Hello, everybody.
Here we are. It's going to be great. The temperature in here is just right. We're not sweating at all. Yeah, what's up? What'd you do today?
I was here earlier today.
In the heat.
Yeah.
Great.
That's nicer during the day. So like 11 o'clock, it's wonderful.
11 a.m. You've been here since 11 a.m.
I got here like 11:30.
Okay. Did you leave? You just been here?
No.
Are you hungry?
No.
Oh, okay.
I went home and took a nap.
Because I was wondering why you wanted to start so late when your only plan today was to walk the dog. Definitely not going to want to be out there.
But the evening walks are wonderful because it cools down.
Yeah, I like walking at night in the dark too, but I try not to.
Yeah, male privilege for sure on that one.
As long as you're out there, none of us will be. Tall white guy coming up on the left, everyone cross.
All men, but certainly more than enough.
It is bleak, Sam. Cold open.
In the conversation of making art and the challenges that can inhibit us from getting to that process, I think the work balance plays a big role.
Yeah,
I don't know if I could make art if I worked a 9 to 5.
I think that's the point.
That's one of the things they learned with capitalism. If you deprive people of enough time to do the things that you enjoy, they'll work longer and harder. Taking time off work makes going to work all the harder. The day you need for recovery after working, if you only had one other day.
God forbid you have to go to an errand.
You have chores to do, things to take care of, you have cleaning, you have relaxing to do. Some days,
You have to
sometimes
relax.
you just need to like chill,
You
and then you
should.
got to squeeze in making art, and you only have 2 days off. That's one of the reasons I'm still bartending.
Yeah.
I fear losing it altogether if I was to transition to something in the more traditional 9 to 5 world.
We hear about it because I don't have any friends from high school because I didn't have any then, and so I also don't have any now.
That your not friends didn't stick around.
Believe it or not, I have heard from other people when they go home and they're still doing whatever it is that we're doing here in LA, something
Right.
creative, that people are like, your life looks so cool. I don't know what they're doing exactly. They didn't commit to anything super creative. And you can see that it's something that they definitely miss. You'd like to think that what they chose was what they wanted and what they liked. Or
Right.
let's just say I had friends that had kids and were married. I have a few friends that are like probably getting divorced soon, but we're not running into the chat police days. I've never been around people with kids and been like, man, this is so great. I wish I had this. I'm ready to leave.
I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but man, what a time to be childless. It's an interesting thing. Whatever you choose to devote that time to, there's going to be things you missed out on. For us, on the side that you're talking about, when you go back to see people who've chosen a more traditional path, they see some of the stuff we do as really exciting and they missed out on it. I don't feel like I missed out on having kids necessarily, but there's a whole life there that I choose to not do. And there's parts of it that do seem pretty nice.
Like health insurance.
Exactly what I was thinking. Health insurance trade-off.
The bummer of being a musician is that our hobby is really expensive.
And no one pays for it.
There's people out there, I've heard of them, they're getting paid.
Yeah, that's not the
Cost.
point of it.
There's a lot of different ways now, but while things are changing, while we're in this transition of what hasn't really been feeling great for a really long time and people finally being over it,
Right.
yet not knowing exactly where to land yet. And then there's quite a younger generation that's just never known something that used to work. And so they're doing something completely different.
The approach of what's possible in life is completely different, that outlook.
Yeah.
Things like quiet quitting are the result of that outlook of going, if I'm going to have to work forever and I'm never going to have that dream that maybe our grandparents and our parents got to think about of retirement and stuff, why would I slave away the entire time? If I'm stuck doing this forever, why would I do it in a way that I don't get to enjoy the little bits of time that I have? And I think it makes a lot of sense. I think about that a lot in terms of how the world's changed, especially when capitalism has put a thing in our head where everything we put our time to has to yield some sort of monetary result to be valuable. We forget that life is trying to enjoy what time you can. We've got this thing where I've got to get something done. There's all these metrics I need to make. If I don't have a house and all these things, then I've somehow failed in life. I got to come to this room and make music twice today. There are challenges that come with the choices I've made, but I've also been successful when my goals were to be able to make music and afford the time and energy to be able to do that. One of the things that was tough about getting older and trying to decide if you're going to commit to continuing making art
Right.
That beautiful dream of being an artist and creative pleasure that comes out of that does come at a cost. And when you look at any artist throughout history, most of them suffered at some point. There's always been that side to being an artist, and it's the choice you make, and you have to be happy with the entire choice. You can't pick and choose the pieces.
This is why I've been talking a lot recently about, I've either been talking about it here or in my head, but the idea that success is the end. Success is the goal. Success in this capitalist way of defining success. What would you define success as? I think what I thought it was when I was little was being the most famous person in the world and being a multimillionaire with a private jet. I didn't see anything else other than that. I didn't hear about the guy who's like a session musician who makes a living, I don't fucking know about that guy. Yeah. So my idea of success was quite exaggerated. What I've realized over the years, when I look at people, and you're included in this, the happiest people I know, or at least the most content, considering the world that we live in today and like the things that we're inundated with, whether we fucking like it or not. Oh, I chose this life.
Right.
And I like it. I didn't end up here because I had no other options. Maybe it's not everything I always thought if I could write the dream as a 5-year-old, but every day I get to wake up and do what I get to do. You got to make music twice today. You're stoked on your projects. You've always got something new going on. You have a built-in community and you make the time to do what matters to you. When you look at that as success, of the fact that you get to enjoy your life every day.
Right.
And yes, it comes with a cost. Everything comes with a cost. Right. Everything. Then how is that not already living a successful life? If you go the other route, take a job that completely pulls that away from you and you're way too tired to come in here, but you're making a lot more money. So you're getting some of these other things, some other comforts, like we're talking about with those people. They're looking at somebody like you, like, damn, your life is so cool.
Right.
And you're so lucky. I wouldn't trade that.
Right.
And I think there's different avenues and we're learning different ways of making money and we have to be flexible and willing to make that work. What we have that other people don't is I feel like my life is mine. At the end of the day, you're having a good time, you're laughing and making stuff every day. The people who are making money off of our misery don't want that happening. That's what half of these apps are and what marketing is. It's trying to get people who are too tired and too miserable.
When you talk about success and defining what that looks like, it is one of those things that we get to define ourselves, and it's easy to think about what you don't have and what another life could have provided you to solve the current problems that you're dealing with. We can look at it not only on the negative side of like another job and trading careers for something more traditional, but even on the flip side of it, you said your vision of success used to be this idea of famous and rich. Let's take what I want to be Beyonce. The fame, the money sounds amazing, but the dedication, the hours, like that woman works harder than anybody, ever. That is a grind 24/7. I don't want that life.
No.
And I used to look at all the good parts about what a life like that would look like and be jealous of them. But I wasn't looking at the whole picture. I wasn't looking at the cost.
Some people see it and they're like, I should be like that, without ever stopping to realize, hey, maybe Beyonce really likes doing that. But a lot of other people who made it to that level of success, clearly, as we hear in the media, did not do well with that.
Yeah.
They're sensitive. We watch these people sometimes become destroyed.
Right. I can always say, oh, I'm sick of bartending. I don't want to do it anymore. But then I look at my sister or other people who have a 9-to-5 kind of office job and they hate their job too. I couldn't just cherry pick aspects about a different life that look nice and forget about the things that would make that life a different set of problems.
You gotta take it all.
I'm trading those problems for a different set of problems. Some of these things that I've defined myself as unsuccessful because I'm not famous for my music or whatever it is. I started wondering to go, okay, there has to be more than this black and white success, this Beyonce or a failure. That's an unrealistic view of the world. Where can I find success beneath these metrics? And the closer I look at it, I get to go, oh, wait a second. I have created a life where I have time and energy to make art. I have created a life where I have a space and the gear to come in here and then just enjoy my time creating, not worrying about whether it's going to lead to a successful album or something like that, which would be so wonderful. But I don't need that to make my time doing this a success.
What is it that matters the most to you? And what is the balance that makes the most sense to you?
Right.
And to each individual person, so we can be free to create the life that we want.
That's never really been why I doing this in the first place. It wasn't being on the road and being on stage that drew me to it. It was creating in a space with my friends.
That old idea of success, why I think I always liked it is because I thought that once I got there,
Right.
it would become easier. That's the thing, is we're chasing this thing like, oh, I got it now. And now what?
It's that illusion of success is some sort of distant destination that you will arrive at.
And there's totally those people who they've got like this one thing and they're super obsessed with just doing that one thing. But I personally, I love to start over on a new project. Right. Can you imagine having made it really successful in one way and then you have this other thing you want to try? Right. Do you not do it? You get to redo it or reinvent yourself, whatever you want to create it. Right. You're totally free. You're your own boss. You're having a good time. It kind of sounds like you're retired.
Just beyond reach. They're up above us. They're always something you have to shoot for because they're not right within grasp. That's what makes it a dream. And with that comes a chance of failure. If failing at trying for your dream means that it wasn't worth it, this isn't the business for you.
Absolutely not. Because you have to fail a million times. That's the whole...
Exactly.
It is just failing a million times.
If you can't enjoy the process of shooting for it, whether it's trying to be Beyonce or just make a song or make some sounds or make some art, if you can't enjoy the process of just doing that, and whether this is a waste of your time or valuable in any way hinges on the success of the outcome of that, you're going to have a very hard time doing art. Art is about this creative process that you get to discover and morph through, and you can have goals and things to go through, but you need to be open to change and accepting the paths as they come with you. Some of the best I've ever been a part of has been happy accidents that led us in new directions. When you're so set on a specific outcome, it's really hard to let the process happen in any sort of way. If you can't enjoy it, what are you doing? Like, we criticize people constantly who we think are just trying to sell us. What we really want to see is the passion. That's what art's about.
What is the sustainability there? If the whole time you felt depleted and it wasn't fun, why not just go do that in a different field? Like, why fuck it up by making it art?
From some sort of mainstream artist, you can find passion. And even just because they're a billionaire making art doesn't mean that they're passionless in it. But you can find equal passion in somebody who paints on a canvas at home because it makes them feel better.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what has been lost in the capitalist landscape. It's nothing to do with recognition.
Yeah. Exactly. It's a lifestyle.
And that the value in creating has nothing to do with what happens to that art after you're done creating it.
Would you call yourself a sensitive person? No. Do you have a cooler word?
No, I don't. Being a bartender and being on display the way that you are, it's a very, I think you used the word performative job.
Yeah, yes.
It can be a little exhausting. Any job that you have to dial into for long periods of time requires a decompression period. The decompression period that leads to a place where you can create freely is maybe a little longer.
I don't know about you, but I get brain fog. It's not that I'm not creative. There's just something in the way. It's not impossible. It's just a little harder for me to reach it. Right. Whereas the more time I spend in the zone, the easier it is for me to lock in and have like just all these ideas.
Yeah. The days right after I work, I find it very hard to be productive. That being said, I've also used this room as my decompression room. So I can't tell you how many times I'll come in here on a Monday after my long weekend at work. I turn on the sound, I start plugging in cables, I start having fun, and 90% of the time, nothing gets saved. I spend 3 or 4 hours in here making noise and move on with my day.
Imagine how frustrating that would be if everything you did had to count.
Just because that will never see a song, it's not going to be a part of a track I'm working on. I'm not any closer to my musical goals today than I was a few hours ago. The process was therapeutic. It helps me transition back out of that customer service mindset that you go into. You turn into a little bit of a robot. Really, all it takes to be an artist is to engage in a creative process.
Absolutely.
You just need to be someone who takes something that wasn't and make it something that is.
Imagine if you're an old man. We love the deathbed.
Right.
I don't know. There's been plenty of times in my life when I've looked at my life, long before I was old and on my deathbed.
This idea that you're going to be the smartest you ever want on your deathbed. And I guess that makes sense to a degree.
I know I'm going to be smart on my deathbed because I'm already so wise. It's insane how wise I am. Hear me out. You're on your deathbed and you're thinking back on your life. What do you think you're going to think about? All of your friends, all the great times you had? I'm so glad I spent my life doing what I really enjoy doing. What is wasted? And whose validation? They're all dead now. you know?
Yeah.
Because they're all older than you, I've decided. Or you're really healthy. You're very healthy.
That can't be it.
You've lived to be so old.
Right.
No, I mean, I know there's definitely been times in my life when I was spending too much time alone in Joshua Tree, where I was just like, why do I do the things that I do? And you really get contemplative and you're like, it's not real, is it?
None of it's real.
Doesn't matter, does it?
No, I go back and forth some days. Am I being lazy and settling, or am I accepting the fact that maybe the world is what you want it to be?
Liking yourself
Right.
in your life? Does that mean you're
God-
settling? Settling implies there's this undertone of like the people we were talking about before where they're really not that stoked with their life or their decisions. And there is that thing eating at them. I don't have that thing eating at, I mean, it's still, even though I do the things I want to do, it's still kind of like, come on, let's go, you know? I call it more devoted. I don't think of myself as insanely ambitious. I don't want to cut people down or hurt anybody or compete, but I do feel driven from this place of,
Right.
I know I look like an idiot, but I have to do this anyway.
We made a movie in our old space, and it was called Stuck Here Forever. It was during
Oh, so good.
post-pandemic, and it was a bleak time to be a musician. All the venues were shut down. Any momentum you had with your bands was completely halted. Nobody knew when the world was going to open back up for that kind of life that we had been so committed to for so many years. Finding space in those times, you said it was when you were out in the desert as well, where you had to sit back and go,
So do we not do it
well,
if nobody's
exactly.
watching?
Now that no one's looking and there's no place to do it, do we keep doing it? When it's all stripped away and you really are forced to look at the question, the answer is so obvious. Of course we
Yeah.
We did it because I have to do this to be okay.
Yeah.
I can't survive without doing this.
And can I just say, during that time, I love that you guys made a movie. I loved that movie. It was
Yeah.
so fun. My band didn't make it through that time, but I wrote a book. You take one thing away from a creative person, we're going to create something else. We're
Yeah, I think
very
that's-
indestructible.
that
But if
was-
you put us in a place we don't belong, and you say, okay, you press this button and then that button, and then you send the email, watch us die.
I think that so many people think of art as something that you're naturally gifted at doing, and some people obviously are, but
No, we're terrible at it.
it is
Just do
that
it anyway.
just trying something and like poking buttons and picking up a guitar, just strumming the strings and seeing what happens, and looking up a YouTube video because you're curious, and like that process.
It took me years to say I was a musician.
Right. I
Does
think
that
that's-
seem weird to you
I
to
think
hear
that's.
that?
I still feel weird when I say it out loud.
Really?
I have the resume, but it still just feels like a weird thing to say.
Just a neutral fact. I'm a musician. I know
Right.
what to do with my voice.
When I
Like,
am arguing for the ease of becoming an artist, but I understand the difficulty with saying it. There's still something
Yeah.
in me that goes.
I'm supposed to be able to prove this.
That goes back to the thing we're saying, this idea of the end product and the recognition being what defines an artist. I think it goes to this thing is like, I'm not supposed to call myself an artist. I am supposed to be
Discovered and
deemed that
yeah.
that by the observer. That's part of that view of art as something to be sold.
If I'm not making money from my voice, am I even a singer?
Right.
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 One thing I'm grateful to my dad for, the one and only thing, just kidding. He was actually very successful in the American dream
Right.
way of thinking about success. He started a computer company and it did really well. And when I was a kid, he'd always say, do what you love. And he was supportive of me being a musician. I still became a drug addict instead. You know,
Different
that's
choice.
for other reasons. There was other things going on. I was like, do what you love. Drugs? Okay, got
I
it.
do think our generation missed some messaging in the do what you love thing.
My point is that I remember thinking it was weird to hear him say that, having every worldly thing you would think a person
Right.
would want, to hear him say, just do what you love. My note, no, today he's a writer. He didn't get to write. And I think that was his own projection. Not that I would know how to build a new computer, but it was really never in the cards for me to do anything other than being a weird, freaky artist. I got a spiky skill set over here. The bad creatives, yeah. The bad creatives, the bad creatives, yeah.